Sett is one of the strongest early game champions in the entire game, but today I'm going to be teaching you exactly how to play him in just 10 minutes. But you must be prepared, this champion can win lanes so incredibly hard that if you apply the learnings from this guide, your opponent's probably not going to be queuing up anytime soon. But we can't feel guilty about it, that's just part of the Sett journey, so let's get started. Starting things off with the rune pages, which are very straightforward on Sett. You're just going to be running Conqueror or PTA. Feel free to copy down exactly what you see on your screen. It's pretty straightforward. Run PTA into range champions like a Vayne, or fake range champions like a Gangplank, and Conqueror into pretty much everything else. The only exception here, you need Shield Bash, but you can swap out Bone Plating for Second Wind if the champion can proc it very easily like an Abyssum, but Bone Plating into champions like Jax or Darius, who just can't proc that unless they're committing to an all-in. Now, even though the runes are easy, the summoner spells do have a couple of variables here. Run Ignite and Flash as your default, however, because you really want to snowball on this champion. But if you're into some boring brick wall meatball champion like a Tahm Kench or a Cassante, Teleport is going to be the play. You want to more so play the map. The all-in threat from Ignite doesn't really matter there. But if you verse a range champion, especially one with disengage and mobility, like a Vayne or a Quinn or a Kayle, you're going to be wanting to run Ghost and Flash together and give yourself as much sticking power as possible for those all-ins. Moving on to item builds, and Doran's Blade will be your default in the majority of melee matchups. You really want to be playing for those long trades with it. But of course, into range champions like Teemo, like Vayne, or fake melee champions like Mbessa or Rumble who have way too much poke, you will need to go Doran's Shield. Doran's Bow is an option, it's not my personal favorite, but you can run it in matchups you're super confident in, as it does give you a bit more early game threat. Now, for the first buy, you want to prioritize Phage over Tiamat, as Sett really likes to freeze and play for early game kills. And for the first item, you're going to be going Stridebreaker no matter what, there is no exception. This item is just mandatory on Sett. If they remove Stridebreaker from the game, they're pretty much removing Sett as well. Now, for second item, Black Cleaver is the standard. You will go this most of the time, but I actually really like Hullbreaker in matchups like a Gragas or even like a Rumble. If you have a lead, we can break the tower in front of them because they can't really deal with the enhanced minion very well. And Sterak's is just for if you're terrible in inting the game and you want to get carried by the boys. If you're really far behind, you can go this item, but I'm not a personal fan. Now for third item, you will be defaulting to Bloodmail. This is the best third item on Sett in pretty much every single game, but you can go Hullbreaker again if you want to be playing for more side lane. You don't see much hope in team fighting there. Now to round off the build, if you ever don't know what to build, Spear of Shojin is your default. Really good combination of extra HP and really high damage for your abilities. On top of this, you can run Hullbreaker again if you want to play more side lane, Sterak's if you want to get carried or need tenacity, and then Death Stance or Spirit Visage as your final item, depending on what resistance you really need. I've actually found magic resist really hard to build on Sett. Of course, if you're versus a full AP comp, build it pretty early, but the majority of games I don't really go MR until after my fourth item. You're mainly just stacking the Tunneler or Phage upgrades. But I'm going to make it even easier for you and give you 3 full build examples, and if you were to play 100 Sett games in a row, 99 games that you play will have one of these 3 builds. You never really have to overthink it. The only exception is, of course, a full AD or a full AP comp. If you don't run into anything disgusting like that, then just build especially one of the 2 top rows here, because I know my students are not going to be bus passengers. Moving on to combos. Now I'm only going to be breaking down the top 5 most important Sett combos that you need to know if you want to play this champion. The first is of course E plus W. If you time it well enough, mashing W while you press your E, it is guaranteed at the center part of the W with no counterplay even if they have flash. The next one is auto resetting with your Q, but you don't really want to be doing auto Q. It is always better to do auto Q whenever you can to make it a lot more smooth. Now the next one is W plus flash, using this to reposition the true damage on your W or hit as many people as possible in a team fight. Extremely impactful. The next one is when you've got your ultimate, where you hit them with Stridebreaker into R into E plus W. So using the R as a delivery system to bring yourself to the backline into an EW, one of the most impactful team fighting combos you can do. And finally, this one's mainly for lane, but the E flash RW, you can do it in a team fight as well by bringing a champion back into your team, but bringing somebody under the tower is a really easy way to net solo kills with this combo. Moving on to the laning phase. Now it's really important to keep in mind Sett as one of the strongest level 1s in the entire game. So you need to play without fear and make it as painful as possible for your opponent to get XP and CS. You really want to be pushing the limits of this champion and your opponent. So you can see level 1, I'm taking over this push straight away, playing to cheese him, and now looking to zone experience from him. As soon as the wave settles down, I walk here, so I'm in XP range, but he's not. This makes it very difficult for him. Either he needs to walk up and let me trade against him, so even if he was full HP, I would get a really good trade, or he has to give experience. So I'm just sitting here zoning him, making it as painful as possible for him to play the game. Now, when the wave comes in, you can't just stand here and tank 6 minions, of course. You need to let it come in, let it settle down, play on the top of the bush like this in case he has a ward, and then it's on repeat. As long as you don't bother the minions at all, you can make it excruciating for your opponent to get any XP. So I'm just standing there, and keep in mind, this is a Mundo as well. He can chuck Qs at me. Imagine doing this against a Nasus or something like that, where they can't even really go near you. So you can see already trying to get that base off. And again, I'll go back into the bush, let the wave settle, and go fight him. So you can see already just how devastating this is for him, level 1. And if we skip ahead a little bit, we are currently level 4 versus 1 against a 1 CS top laner at 2 minutes 40 into the game. It is just mental what you can do on this champion. Yes, he didn't have to take that level 1 trade, but regardless, I was in a position where he was forced to interact with me by either giving XP or giving the majority of his HP based on how I played this lane out. But because I know at least one nerd will comment that only worked because he got chunked, let's see what it looks like against a human who walks in with the wave and wards the bush. So this Aatrox, of course, playing it a lot better. So again, do push-ups in the bush, wait for the wave to settle, and now zone him from XP. You either have to give me your HP, or you have to give your experience away. You can always make this happen against champions that are not equally as strong as you, which there are only a couple of those in the game. So you can pretty much do this every time. The best play if you are the Aatrox is to walk in with the wave, ward the bush, and make the Sett fight you next to the caster minions so the minions aggro, chase you a little bit. You're still going to get chunked, it's still going to be good for Sett, but at least you won't lose experience that way. So you can see baiting and dodging a few skill shots, and time to fight him yet again. So using my level 2 advantage, again, you want to get priority every game that you play on Sett whenever possible. It can be tough in some range matchups, but pretty much any melee you can get push. And you can see the power of Shield Bash right there. As long as you get that really good level 1 trade, you can normally play for a level 2 or a level 3 all-in, sometimes even a tower dive. But even though Sett is one of the strongest level 1 champions in the entire game, he does have one weakness, and that is everyone's favorite range top laners. So usually I would run Ghost in this matchup, but I thought it was Zahin top, not Ryze. Of course, that was done by me. Of course, it's Zahin support. But you can see my strategy is the exact same thing. Take over the bush level 1 and walk away from the minions trying to zone him and make him fight me. Either you walk down river and say goodbye to your XP, or you must fight me level 1. And even though you will take damage, you've got Doran Shield, Second Wind, and you do, of course, have that W, so you can get a chunk on them regardless. So you can see making it really hard for him to get XP and making it volatile. The weakness of range top laners, if you were to give them one, is of course sustain. They don't have any sustain, so any trade that you do, your Doran Shield and Second Wind will outperform their nothing. So of course making it volatile is always going to be good, but we do got to play around that W cooldown, like I'm doing here. So waiting for my level 2, and now it's time to close that gap. So it does require pretty good spacing, reading when they make a spacing mistake. So here you can see I pretended to walk away, but really I wanted to turn and fight him. So I ran at him before I got level 2, caught him off guard here, and now we can get a really volatile trade. Also, press the attack would be better as well. Again, I thought it was Zahin. So trading flash for flash is great versus a ranged top laner, and now you can see this lane state. He's 200 HP with no flash. It's really hard for him to poke me down without fear, because if he makes one mistake, he is just completely dead. If he dies to a gank, there's no surviving that. So already, just by making it volatile level 1, I've put him in kind of this checkmate position. No one saw that E. Let's wait for the next one. So here we go, and dead, right? One spacing mistake, and with the movement speed from Q, you can make it very, very hard for them to play the game, and this lane is just completely over for him. Next up, we have the mid game, and for this one, I want to teach you a simple formula you can follow in any game that you play. For lane assignment, you always want to go to the opposite side of the next objective. I never want to see you playing mid on Sett. If the next objective is Dragon, you want to be pressuring top. Now, when you're here, you either play for the tower or for the fight, so how do you decide which one to do? So if you can make progress 1v1 without much resistance, so progress being kill this guy or kill his tower, then you're going to play for that. But if you can't kill the tower or him in a meaningful amount of time, then just look to make a 5v4 team fight around that objective. You can follow this formula for pretty much any situation, and it'll never do you wrong. But the main exception here being if you find yourself leaving base and the objective is already spawned, or very close to being spawned, you don't really have time to push out that side wave. So in that case, either you give the objective if you feel like you can't win that 5v5, or rock up straight away and look to make an impactful play. It depends on the comp how you want to play the fight, but you can see here I rocked up for a 5v5. It doesn't matter that I didn't push in top first, I can still be extremely impactful. And finally, we have team fighting. Now, Sett has two extremely impactful ways to play team fights, but it's super important that you understand when to do each one. So we'll start with the classic, scooping their tank onto the backline. This one is pretty straightforward. If they have HP stacking, especially in mobile frontline, like a Nunu, a Scion, a Cho'Gath, wait for their backline to walk into your ulti range, scoop them in into an E plus W. This is the most fun because you can see 11,000 damage, speaks for itself, but you can't really do this every game. There are always going to be games on your Sett journey that just aren't that good for this champion. I'm talking hyper mobility champions, like a Kane, like a Zeri. In those games, you need to be playing for flanks. You can see in this game, looking for that creative flank around the blue buff wall, scooping that Fed Zeri into my team. And you can see here, even as a 5 and 10 Sett, I made this Zeri unable to play the game at all, and I was able to single-handedly carry this fight. Alright team, that's it for now. If you enjoyed the video, I strongly recommend checking out my full step-by-step Sett guide on the Top Lane Academy. There are hours of Sett content in that guide, so I recommend checking it out and getting coached by me at the same time. Link will be in the description. I would love to see you there. If not, I'll see you for the next video.